That's James's first Thanksgiving meal. It's October the 1st. And we'll see what I can do for Thanksgiving. I like to just make something new to add to the leftovers every time. So this is a baked potato with gravy and pineapple, carrots, the steamed carrots, baked beets, the Cuban bowl, zucchini and celery sauteed, and some lentils and tomatoes. And the Chihuahuas ate this today. I'll see if James wants it. He ate some meat recently, so maybe he will. Star Trek Picard, the final season, got top of the stack. Lone Ranger season 2, and then Lone Ranger the first season at the bottom. And there's the Cuban bowl, and I made the gravy out of with this as a flavoring. We'll see how that works out. I don't know what James will think of that. I've never tried that before. I don't make the gravy that way. I usually, well, almost always just use I brown flour in the pan, and then I put stir water, stir, and then I mix in the vegetable better than bouillon and pepper. That's it. That's how I make my gravy usually. But anyway, I have a song that I wrote earlier today that I'm going to try to wing a tune here, so we'll see how this goes. This one is called My Thanksgiving Days. October's here, this time of year's a cooking marathon. Each morning's cool, since I'm no fool, the oven's always on. Potatoes bake and also make my home more comfortable. By 10 or so, I always know my stomach will be full. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I'm thankful for warm shelter and warm food. Though temperatures keep falling each fall day, warm ovens always warm my attitude. I have a blast, Thanksgiving lasts a week or maybe more, because I take my time and make a dish each morning for my harvest feast. I have at least 5 dishes always done, some old, some new, and I am truly thankful for each one. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I'm thankful for warm shelter and warm food. Though temperatures keep falling each fall day, warm ovens always warm my attitude. So that's my song, My Thanksgiving Days, which I wrote this morning while I was cooking up this feast and watching CSI, the 11th season. And anyway, so you may have noticed while I was singing that sometimes you could see my breath, and it is a cool day. I think it was forecasted to only reach 10 above today here, and that means it's going to get cool this night. It'll be the coolest rate when it looks like it's light coming out in the morning, but the sun is just about to rise. You see the light before you see the sun up. And anyway, so that will be the coldest point of the day, and as I recall, that was predicted to be +1 and clear, which, ooh, that's close, right? So I bring the tomatoes in today, because I don't know if they're going to make it. Well, I could try covering them, but I'm not going to. Because that's one thing, you always think when it's really cold and raining, you think that's when it's going to freeze, but it's not. If it's raining, it's not going to freeze. You're not going to get frost when it's raining. So the plants will be fine. It's the day after that you got to worry about. So we'll see how things go. James was supposed to be here about an hour ago. He said he'd be here. So, The food has been sitting for a while, but I really don't think it's going to spoil because it's pretty cold. So anyway, I will talk about Picard, the final season. And I guess I don't know why they wrapped it up, because I thought it was going pretty well. Everyone likes Picard, right? Maybe he wanted to wrap it up. Maybe he hasn't been doing too well. I don't know. But anyway, this was like the best season of TNG. So the Next Generation. It has just about everyone from TNG in this show. And it says best season of Star Trek ever by, that's Joe Blow. I don't know that's who they quoted for that one. And honestly, I'd say yeah, this was the best Star Trek season ever. TNG was, it must have been the most popular one. Everyone seemed to like that one. And yet you have 7 of 9 in this one from, and she wasn't TNG person, she was Deep Space, no, not Deep Space Nine. She was the one with Janeway, Voyager. But she's in this one too, so how can you lose, right? You have 7 of 9 and you have everyone that you loved from TNG. And yeah, it's not only the best season of Star Trek ever, it's the best Star Trek movie. Honestly, I watched this as a marathon. This is 4 discs, and that's 10 in 10 parts. I watched this as a marathon yesterday. This is what I did for my Truth and Reconciliation Day. Let's watch this. And it was like an awesome movie, a Star Trek movie that lasted for a long time. It was great. I loved it. So it definitely was worth top of the stack for me, above Lone Ranger. I don't know if James would say the same. I don't know if he was a TNG fan at all. So, but he was a Lone Ranger fan. So it would probably be the opposite for James. He's not here to tell you. But anyway, yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about this season. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it, because I don't want to give anything away, and because you'll love it. And if you've already watched it, then maybe you want to hear what I have to say about it. Maybe you feel the same, maybe you don't. So this season has the troublemakers that they're having to deal with are, I'm going to give away one that you get right away. The other one you'll have to figure out, because I even if you have just the slightest chance that you haven't watched it, I don't want to give it. But you should know. You should know, given they do a lot of foreshadowing, you should know. So the first foe that they're against, they're shapeshifters. So they look just like everyone else on the Enterprise, but they've infiltrated the whole outfit up to the highest levels. So you don't know that these shapeshifters have the ability to, even after they've died, they still keep the form of that they've last taken, right? So they bleed. There's no way to know whether they're shapeshifters or not. So that they've successfully got into the highest ranks. They're everywhere. They don't know who can be trusted, because they might be a shapeshifter. They don't know what's going on. So they're trying to solve that. And you have there's that going on, and then you have the whole thing. This whole season, there's a few underlying themes, and that's the main one is the Next Generation. It's about new life, right? They're in a nebula, and there's new life there, right? And then you find out about new life in Jean-Luc's life, right? So there's all this new life, and so in the end, it is very much, you know that there's going to be more. And I don't know if Jean-Luc Picard will be in the new series that is obviously coming out of this. I imagine he will be every now and then. But he's getting old, and he's probably like, I don't know how long I can do this. And they're probably thinking, I don't know how long we can do this. Let's try to spin something off him and this, right? So anyway, there's that. And then there's the whole thing with the shapeshifter. You don't know who everyone is. Appearances on the outside may not be like who they are in the inside, right? And so you have that also, that sort of idea going through other aspects of the show. So like what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. The Klingon guy. So he has his personality. He's now into meditating and stuff like that. He doesn't want to go for the violence right away. He wants to try to take a passive sort of approach to solving conflicts and stuff like that. So he's completely, and they keep talking about that. They're like, is anybody who you knew from the past, are they the same still, right? And so they're saying, okay, well, they look the same on the outside, a little older, whatever, but on the inside, they're different people now. But then, they're still a part of the family. You can still trust them, whatever. And so there's that. There's that going on through the show, and which leads you up to what I want to talk about, because it's the big finale thing. It's what ends up happening. The shapeshifters are working with somebody else, and you'll be able to figure it out. There's a lot of foreshadowing, but I don't want to be the one to give it away. You may as well feel witty when you figure it out when you're watching the show, if you haven't yet. So anyway, now I did have one problem with the show, and only one. So that was, all of a sudden, they're running away from the big foe, and they don't want to be handing over somebody to the opposite side very much obviously wants. And then that person just, I'm gonna go turn myself into them. What? So that means all the lives that have been lost were just wasted because now you're gonna go. It didn't make any sense. I needed to do better with that. So that was that. The Lone Ranger season 2 was better than the first season. It's still in black and white in season 2, but I liked some things that they were kind of making fun of themselves a little bit along the way, like the Lone Ranger, they keep bringing up the fact that, well, why should we trust you? You're wearing a mask, and you look like a bandit kind of thing. So they keep bringing that up because that is kind of funny. And at the end of every episode, they have people who he's interacted with saying, oh, well, you didn't know who he was? Yeah, that's the Lone Ranger. It's just kind of cute. It ends that way every time, right? Well, you have your fun scenes that you're used to seeing in the episode, like the Tonto and the Ranger riding really quickly on their horses, and why, I don't know. But and there's a lot of things like they never accept money. And you're wondering, well, how in the world are they living? They're, Tonto's going to get supplies all the time or whatever, and anyway. And there's another thing, the Lone Ranger, he doesn't only like to wear his Lone Ranger mask to hide his identity, but sometimes, quite often, he likes to dress up as an old feller. And then it gets to the point where it's like, I think at one point he has like a, I don't know, mariachi band kind of outfit going on or something like that. And you're going, okay, where is this tickle trunk that the Lone Ranger has? Because it's not on silver. Where is he keeping all these disguises? I can see keeping the fake beard and whatever, but it got a little bit silly there. And then they made a joke on the dressing up thing. They had another character who was very obviously a man wearing a dress with a veil over, and the Lone Ranger is like, yeah, just take off the outfit. I know you're not a woman or whatever, right? So that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's interesting to see the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Boy, it always feels so good to sneeze, doesn't it? Anyway, the Lone Ranger and Tonto, it's good to see them in the black and white. And then I was thinking, well, it's funny because I hadn't watched this. Maybe James picked up on it. Maybe other people did because, they've watched one and then the other. But you have the Lone Ranger and Tonto when it's black and white, and then all of a sudden, a little bit later, you have Batman and Robin, and Pam, and whatever. And they're another, crime-fighting duo, right? That the Lone Ranger wears the mask, covers his eyes, and so does Batman. And honestly, Adam West's voice sounds very similar to, what is this guy's name? Was it Clayton somebody? I can't remember. The actor who played the Lone Ranger. James would probably know, but I don't remember. So I remember that Tonto was Jay Silverheels. I think that was his name, because that's a great name. That one's very memorable. But anyway, so yeah, their voices are the same. You have Lone Ranger and Batman, in the series with Adam West. They have very similar voices. And covering their eyes and writing, they're the same. Honestly, they've just rehashed the same idea, and one looks like a bat and wears a cape, and the other one rides a horse and whatever. Same sort of deal. So I found that kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I liked watching it. I watched it, so. But, like, while I was writing my Thanksgiving Days song, I think I was watching the last season of the Picard final season. So, I do other things while I'm watching these things, but I still enjoy them. I like having them on. It's kind of like having company that you don't have to cook for, clean up after. So that's all I really have. It's too bad James didn't show up.